Welcome to Talk. My name is Eddie Marmolejo. Along with my co-host Jaime Moreno, we created this conservative podcast to bring facts to the issues America faces today. Left-wing bashing? That's too easy, and that's not what we do. Instead, Jaime and I tackle the issues, analyze them, and give our opinions through a conservative perspective. So if you want to join two conservative Latinos on this journey, sit back, crank up the volume, and let's talk.
Welcome to a weekly podcast of Talk. We're your hosts, Eddie Marmolejo
and Jaime Moreno.
A lot of going on this week. We thought it was going to be a little easy week. Nope, it's just escalated. It started Tuesday with the uprisings in Venezuela. Juan Guaido asked for people to march on the streets. Let's continue to the final phase of Operation Freedom, which means is the ousting of Nicolas Maduro. Did he succeed? We're about to find out. Then we're going to go on to Attorney General Barr's testimony in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee today. Democrats came after him really hard.
Mr. Barr, now the American people know that you are no different from Rudy Giuliani or Kellyanne Conway or any of the other people who sacrificed their once decent reputation for the grifter and liar who sits in the Oval Office.
As the Attorney General of the United States, you run the United States Department of Justice. If in any U.S. Attorney's office around the country, the head of that office, when being asked to make a critical decision about, in this case, the person who holds the highest office in the land, and whether or not that person committed a crime, would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney. He's the one who presents the pardon to someone.
I think you know what I'm talking about. Please.
What do you mean?
Please, Mr. Attorney General, give us some credit for knowing what the hell is going on around here with you.
Not really. To this line of questioning.
So
listen, you've slandered this man.
Yeah, what I sort of want to know is how do we get to this point?
I do not think that I'm slandering anyone.
All I can say,
Mr. Chairman, I am done. Thank you very much.
And you slandered this man from top to bottom. So if you want more of this, you're not going to get it. If you want to ask him questions, you can't.
The principal attack that Democratic senators have marshaled upon you concerns this March 27th letter from Robert Mueller. And it's an attack that I want people to understand just how revealing it is. If this is their whole argument, they ain't got nothing. So their argument is as follows, and let me see if I understand it correctly. You initially, when you received the Mueller report, released to Congress and the public a 4-page summary of the conclusions. Then, on March 27th, Mr. Mueller asked you to release an additional 19 pages, the introduction and summary that he had drafted. And indeed, in the letter, what he says is, quote, I am requesting that you provide these materials to Congress and authorize their public release at this time. And the reason he says it is that to fully capture the context, nature, and substance of the office's work and conclusion. So you did not release those 19 pages at that time. Instead, a couple of weeks later, you released 448 pages, the entire report, which includes those 19 pages. Do I have that timeline correct?
That's right. Thankfully, we had Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz right there delivering some facts. And then we will be discussing our little adventure yesterday at the Nixon Library. We attended the live broadcast of Larry Elder. It was a great experience, and we'll tell you all about it in a couple minutes. But with that...
Yes, thank you for joining us on this week's podcast. Please remember to subscribe, like our page, and share with your friends. Please let us know your feedback. Please subscribe, get notifications of our podcast for you to be in the know as events go on. So, thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, liking, and for letting your family members know about us. With that, can you turn it on with the first topic, which is
Venezuela. So on Tuesday, there was a video that came out. I actually woke up to this. And apparently, every time there's a major event going on, I wake up to it. It's like I have an alarm says to major crisis in the world. But
international crisis,
yes. So I I get this video. It says Juan Guaido is outside with Leopoldo Lopez, who was the leader of the opposition prior to him. He was under house arrest and sentenced to 13 years house arrest for inciting terrorism and other basically anti-government movements.
Okay, that's the charges that Maduro gave.
That was with Maduro, and so they charged him with that. So basically, Guaido, with the backing of some military officials, went to the house, they broke him out, and then he said, I advocate for the people of Venezuela to take to the streets, and let's begin the final phase of ousting Maduro.
Viva la revolución.
So, as pretty much you all saw throughout the whole day, it turned violent, right?
Yeah.
It turned violent.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you had tanks running over people.
Armored cars running over people. There was videos of people yelling, freedom, 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 carajo, freedom.
Isn't it interesting that with this whole attempted coup or attempted uprising, that a couple of years ago, didn't Venezuela ban all guns?
Yes, back in 2012 or 14. 12 or 14. I would have to double check, but 12 or 14. I'm going with 12, most likely. I think it was 12. 2000, I'm going to say 2012. I think for sure it was 2012. Jaime can double check on me, but I'm going to say 12. Venezuela issued a gun ban, right? Was it 2012? Come on.
7 years ago, which is
2012.
Yep,
2012. Okay. So they issued a gun ban, so basically no citizens, right, can own guns. And that, of course, led to the empowerment of the government and the military. So only the military officials can have guns. And you see that it's evident in the streets when you see them riding. Either it was last Tuesday or any other event last month when we talked about the events at the bridge. What did you guys see? Molotov cocktails, people with sticks, people throwing rocks, and the other side had what? Tear gas, guns, water cannons, whatever they needed.
They were well armored.
So that's what you saw on Tuesday. Unfortunately, again, you had people that took to the streets answering the call. But Jaime, what do you think is going to happen when you have people with sticks and stones facing armor?
Nothing. They're going to get crushed by the military. Well, pretty much crushed by those who have the weapons, right?
Pretty much.
I mean, you can do some damage with sticks and rocks.
Right.
But the power lies in the gun.
Yeah.
Right? It's in the gun.
And this has been my criticism of the Guaido attempted coups, however you want to call it, attempted coups or attempted liberations. I go with liberations because,
or overthrowing
of the current regime, right? He's pushing it. Yeah, it's a good cause, but my main issue is things I've discussed in the show. You don't have the full backing of the military. It was shown in your last attempt that some military officials defected. The one right here in Washington, one of the defense ministers did defect, said, I'm leaving Maduro, I'm signing with Guaido. Military officials did flee to Colombia and Brazil during last month, and now you see some more support on Tuesday, but it's not enough. It's not enough to create a successful coup, not like the coup that Chavez had in '99. You don't have that backing yet, and that's been my main criticism of Guaido. Is like, how many times you're gonna call for people to march in the streets with no real force behind you? I mean, look.
Well, that's interesting because not even they don't have actual force or weapons, right? But also, you're talking about. You just mentioned that all these generals and all these people who are siding with Guaido left the country.
No, and it's not even.
So, like, you don't even have them within the country.
No, and it's funny you mentioned it's not even high-ranking officers. It's like mid to low grade, or even non-commissioned officers. So it's like sergeants and all. So it's not even the really elite, the high command. Although there was some reports coming out of Fox, CNN Spanish, saying that top officials within the defense ministry of Maduro are not agreeing with what's going on. So they're saying it might create dissension in the ranks later on. But the question is when. I think Guaido right now is spending too much political capital on failed movement. You failed, unfortunately, in the bridge, and then you failed again yesterday. Yeah. I mean, even Leopoldo had to go to the Spanish embassy and take refuge there because they broke him out, right? And so he had to go to the Spanish embassy, and he's there right now with his family. But once again, we're back to square one, and
it looks more like of a show right now. So they're not really having any power.
They're not. Yeah, it's power. Yeah, there's no real military backing to confront what you need to do to oust, or you don't have the correct pieces to conduct a successful coup. Mm-hmm. As long as you have the high military officials siding with Maduro, you're not going to succeed anywhere. Mm-hmm. And our response has been the same. We'll take military action if necessary. All options are on the table. We're going to sanction Venezuela and Cuba. Moscow is going to be like, well, we'll back you up somehow. Cuba, we'll back you up. And it's like, it's the same thing over.
Well, yeah. So now that we're discussing that, the Trump's policy, President Trump's policy of all options are on the table mm-hmm. once this happens. Now that they're attempting this coup and they're trying their best to overthrow the current regime. Mm-hmm. Do you think the United States will step in?
For the United States to step in, I've said this is a really delicate situation. Mm-hmm. You have Russian backing. The Russians are aiding Maduro. There was even a rumor that the Russians called Maduro because nobody had heard from Maduro all day Tuesday.
Oh, during the
there had no until somehow at nighttime. They said that he got a call from the Russians. There was supposed to be a call today between American and Russian officials discussing what is going on, like what can we do to settle this issue, so forth. Mm-hmm. But if Russians are involved, we have to really be careful how we get involved into Venezuela if we decide to get involved into Venezuela. I agree with John Bolton. The Russians are not going to take a stronghold in this hemisphere. I agree with that.
No,
they're not.
They failed it so many times in the past, especially in the Cold War. So I don't think they're going to do it now. But given the way Russia has behaved with its own neighbors, when they conquered.
No, but the reason why it's a little. Why I say it's more complicated now too. The way the United States has behaved diplomatically and so forth. The relations with Latin American countries.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Monroe Doctrine, right?
Not just the Monroe Doctrine, but Monroe Doctrine. But it allows states like Russia and China to come in and say, "You need help." Because they ain't gonna help you. We got you.
I see.
See what I'm saying?
So we've broken that bridge with Latin American countries.
Yeah,
that they're accepting money
because
from
even if
communist countries.
Yeah, exactly. But even if you look at what people are saying on social media, even from Maduro says it's an attempted coup from the United States. I mean, like,
yeah, they're always trying to. They're always going to try to blame the United States.
It's always
put the United States behind something. Could be true, could not be true. I don't know.
Well, whatever. Anyways, but
at this moment, I know the United States is not backing anything up right now.
No, it's just I mean, it's just
moral
aid,
support.
but an aid, right? But
there's no actual military advisors.
That I've heard of. No, there was rumors there was gonna be an aircraft carrier group being sent to Venezuela. I don't know if you saw that they were doing. That's right. Yeah. I was like, oh crap! Like there's I think it was a Lincoln carrier group. I was out of the coast of Florida. They were doing exercises.
Exercises.
But Florida to Venezuela is not that far.
Yeah, it's pretty
close. We don't know what we're seeing, but like I said, Russia and China could easily just step in just because of how they are relating with nation states there today, as opposed to the history we created back since when.
So now these countries, Russia and China.
Mostly Russia. China, mostly Russia. From the Chinese yet.
It's coming into Latin America because I know I remember a couple of episodes we did discuss that Russia has vast financial interests within the country of Venezuela. Yes. Mm-hmm. So does China.
Yeah.
And the reason they have those interests because they've made trade deals or agreements with Venezuela, right?
This is something I looked into when I was studying Chinese relations in Latin America, and they're putting their foothold in Latin America. It's crazy. You look into Mexico, you look in Brazil, you look in Venezuela, and they're putting the whole. Russia's doing the same thing, but Russia is most centered into Venezuela. But it's complicated to see how the administration can respond. You can respond with sanctions. You can respond with all that. Is that going to be enough? We'll see. But
apparently not.
Apparently not yet. But my thing with Guaido. Like they need to get the right pieces. You need to get the right people. It's hard because you still have a lot of loyal soldiers to Maduro, and I think this is why he's calling for more. Because the more violence people see, and the more the willing. I think it's like the more violence you see on TV, perhaps the more international pressure we can put on Maduro. But That's the long game, man.
Yeah, and it's
That's
a losing game.
It's a losing
because
game,
then
too.
people don't want to go out there in the streets for their own safety
Yeah.
and for their own lives. Like, I mean, yeah, we want to go out there, but we're just gonna get our butts kicked, killed, and we're not gonna have any actual solution.
No, and it's not even. I'm sorry, it's not even guerrilla warfare right now, because in guerrilla warfare you at least have guns.
Yeah, so they have no weapons to face the military. So it's like you said, sticks and stones.
Sticks and
It's a
stones and
losing
Molotov
battle.
cocktails, but it's now going back to the gun argument, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna quote a news station, not verbatimly, but they was talking about how these people in this country have no guns, and all the guns are owned by the military and that's why we have all this violence. Do you want to take a guess who said that?
Fox?
Nope. I think it's Fox, right?
I would assume
Yeah.
Fox would say that. Would point out the fact that in
The right to
Venezuela,
bear arms might be useful, but
well, the right to bear arms doesn't exist in Venezuela
not
because it was
anymore.
banned.
It was banned.
Right? There was a point where it was, but now they're bringing it up again because of what's going on with the coup.
Yeah.
Or the failed coup.
The failed coup at this point, yeah. But you want to take a guess who?
So it wasn't Fox, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Breitbart?
Nope.
I don't know who.
MSNBC.
Are you for reals?
MSNBC.
Shut up.
I'm not
MSNBC.
kidding.
Nah. What did NBC? What did they say? What did
Basically, they were showing the images
Okay.
of what was going on in Venezuela. And I forget the anchor's name, but he said, well, the problem in Venezuela you're having is that people don't have guns, and they're fighting people with guns. Basically, that's the argument.
Wait, they said that?
Yes. The people...
Okay, we just said that ourselves as well.
Yeah, the people don't have guns, and they're fighting people with guns.
Yeah, which is a losing
thing, okay? So the power's on the military. So I'm like, oh, so you just made a case for the Second Amendment, given that if guns were owned by the people, they probably had a shot to reduce the violence by ousting those responsible for creating the violence.
Good point. So,
I know, Kerry, you've spent a lot of time down there. I think it has been surprising to a lot of people in Washington, in the administration at least, that this is taking longer than they thought, despite the sanctions, despite the pressure. With the help of Russia and other outside forces, Maduro is hanging on.
And not only hanging on, but he appears to still control the military. You have to understand, in Venezuela, gun ownership is not something that is open to everybody. So if the military have the guns, they have the power. And as long as Nicolas Maduro controls the military, he controls the country. And
yeah, MSNBC pretty much is defending the Second Amendment because they're saying that if the people would have had guns, the coup would have been over, or at least the uprising would have been a success.
Yeah. Hello.
The same news station that goes around saying that we need gun reform.
After New Zealand, gun reform.
Any guns restrict.
After high school shootings, gun reform.
Like gun reform in a sense of like no guns, super strict background checks.
Right.
No. You really have to have a gun that only shoots 2 bullets at a time before you can reload it, right? And make it
might as well
harder
get
to
a
reload.
musket at that point.
Yeah. So you're talking about this news anchor channel that goes on TV, well, actually promotes this huge, strict gun laws, as saying that if the people in Venezuela had guns, this uprising would have been turned around differently, or would have been
had a different result. It would end quicker, or they would have probably succeeded by now.
Oh my God. See, MSNBC, that's why we uphold the Second Amendment in the United States. Because of tyranny.
Tyranny?
Yeah.
That was tyranny.
Or tyranny, whatever you want to call it. Tomato.
Or like I like to say it to my girlfriend, tyranny. Tyranny.
Because of tyranny, right?
Tyranny.
When a tyrant is in office, you get your arms and you overthrow the government.
It's the easiest way to be a tyrant. You take guns away in the promise of safety and security, which Maduro claims he's doing that a lot. He's providing safety and security for his country by not allowing el imperialista yankee.
Well, safety and security for those who align with him, right?
Well, of course.
Because apparently if you align with Guaido, you don't fall under the umbrella.
But check this out. On Tuesday night, it said like everybody who followed Guaido today was misled.
Okay.
You were not in the wrong. You were just misled. So he's backing down a little bit. But
Yeah, because he has international pressure, and I bet Russia is like, dude, what the heck are you doing? You're making us all look bad. Get it together, sir.
yeah, but it's just keep an eye on Venezuela. It could today. What was it? Wednesday, he's called for that May Day protest as well. Said keep it up. It's still violent, still going on. Is it going to turn into another yellow vest protest in France, or are we actually going to see change? We're gonna see what the U.S. response is? You heard the threats. You heard the president. You heard it all over the place. Guaido, get the right people, or you're gonna fail. I'm telling you that right now. You're wasting all this time having Leopoldo and all that. Okay, cool. You're freed somebody. Look where he's at now. I mean, like, come on, man. Not that hard.
So we wish luck to the Venezuelan people. We wish them well. We hopefully this disagreement, this division of government and leadership is resolved soon. But we actually would like it to be resolved in the matter of democracy, right?
Yeah.
If Maduro will step down and maybe redo a re-election or just step down, which I don't think he will do.
I think it's too late for call re-election.
Yeah.
It's too late.
So we wish the best for the Venezuelan people, the governments out there, and all those who live here and have family out there. Our prayers out to them. We wish them well. Wish them good health. We wish them to be safe. And hopefully this conflict is resolved in a peaceful and diplomatic manner, and it doesn't escalate to an all-out civil war.
Yeah, hopefully. But speaking of civil wars, right versus left, Barr versus everybody in the left,
Congressional Democrats
versus... No, I say actually senators versus senators.
Oh, senators. Yes, that's right.
So, as we all know, the Attorney General Barr testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty because on Tuesday, man, Tuesday was a great day for news. Apparently, Robert Mueller, the Washington Post, released an article that said that, and this was not known until Tuesday, that Robert Mueller has sent a letter to Attorney General Barr saying that he did not agree with the way his 4-page summary detailed the findings of the Mueller report.
Like, he didn't agree with the findings, or he didn't like the way it was written?
He didn't. Yeah, it's like it didn't encompass the context and so forth. So I got the letter right here. Okay, so
we'll have a link there for you guys. Can look at the letter yourself.
Yeah.
You can read it on your own, because we do believe that all viewers should be able to access all information.
I'm just gonna focus on the paragraph that everybody jumped on.
Okay, so the Senate hearing attacked Barr, Attorney General,
Barr,
and were questioning him.
Oh, it was more than it was shame. Yeah,
on this paragraph. Of a letter.
Yeah, so it's the whole letter, but
by
this
Mueller
is
to Barr.
Yeah, so for me, this is the paragraph that they're looking at, and this is what the media started looking at. We were looking at some news outlets. So it says.
So right now, everyone's saying that Barr did not tell the truth or is hiding something because Mueller sent a letter to him saying that he didn't like the way it was released to the public.
Right. So here's the letter, just that paragraph. So, as we stated in our meeting of March 5th and reiterated to the department early in the afternoon of March 24th, the introductions and executive summaries of our two-volume report accurately summarize this office's work and conclusions. So, there was a summary that Mueller created that basically said our summary encompasses the entire report. The summary letter that the department sent to the Congress and released to the public in the afternoon of March 24th did not fully capture the context, nature, and substance of this office's works and conclusions. We communicated this concern to the department on the morning of March 25th. There is now public confusion about the critical aspects of the result of the investigation. This threatens and undermines the central purpose for which the department appointed the special counsel to assure full public confidence in the outcome of the investigations. So in English, in English, he's saying, well, my summary explains everything. Your summary just like took pieces of it and just said, well, based on whatever pieces you think you read, right or wrong, then you said he's not guilty.
But wouldn't that sound kind of like a conflict?
Conflict of interest, which is what the Democrats were trying to portray in the argument, right?
So Mueller's saying that we already provided a summary, and you provided a different summary.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty much he already provided a report.
Okay. So they both did summaries, but my summary is better than your summary because my summary has the entire context of the report. Your summary just looked at the principal findings, and based on those principal findings, what conclusions I drew out, which is fine by me. Because if you look at the principal findings based on whatever else you encompass, right? So whatever, all the evidence, right, you collected, you analyzed and all that. So if you just took the footnotes and said, look, based on this, this, and this, and this theory, and based on this, this, and this, I say not guilty or no obstruction. Then you as an attorney general can say, well, at face value, okay, he's telling me based on the report.
Well, he did tell him, right?
Yeah, right, he did. Well,
he did tell him. So, I mean, Barr is not lying.
No.
Right? Because in the letter, Mueller says that, he's pretty much says that I don't disagree. There's no disagreement on the findings.
Right.
It's just the way you wrote it.
Yes, the way he wrote it. So basically, you're creating public confusion.
Confusion.
Yeah, because remember, he was saying that he was going to release the report, but there was, I don't know how many weeks.
Could it be to reference of the sentence where it said it doesn't neither exonerate nor imply?
No, I just think Mueller's summary involved everything that maybe portrayed Trump in a certain way.
But, I mean, that's already in the report. Why would you need a summary of that?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting into. So he's like, well, if you had released that, right, you would have avoided the confusion that you got when you released your 4-page summary. My 19-page summary had it. Your 4-page did not. Your 4-page just focused on what I found in the end, which is no obstruction, no collusion. But had you released my 19 pages and on the context that everything took place, perhaps Congress could arrive to a different conclusion.
A different conclusion.
Yeah, different conclusion. Or they would have had a different aspect. Because, remember, he said
different understanding.
Different understanding.
So right now, the congressional Democrats and all the media is saying that Barr misled the public.
Yes.
He's not giving actual facts. The reason why they subpoenaed the document, right? The reason why they requested the release of the full report, right? But nothing in the full report or what Barr wrote in a summary conflicts.
No.
And Mueller's letters, which we're reading right now, tells Barr we don't disagree. There's no conflict in our understanding that there was no collusion and no obstruction, but the way you wrote it caused confusion. And then Mueller keeps saying that the media is even perpetrating this confusion further
because you saw the reports. Well, what does that mean? What? And then we started looking at the page. We started looking at impeachment process, and then we told it was footnotes, and everybody was like, "But what the heck does this mean?" So apparently,
this is a report from the Washington Post.
This is all from the Washington Post towards the latter half of the article. See, the media is only focusing on the first part.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire article, right?
Which we tell you here, I'm Talk. Always read the entire article to have a full understanding.
And it's on the Washington Post, so if you're subscribed to the Washington Post, you can definitely find it.
Or just eat the cookies and get it for free.
So a day after Mueller sent this letter to Barr, the two men spoke by phone about 15 minutes, according to law enforcement officials. So 24th, 27th, 28th, right? In that call, and I'm quoting the Washington Post now, in that call, Mueller said he was concerned that the media coverage of the obstruction probe was misguided and creating public misunderstanding about the office's work. So let's go back again. The media coverage, not Barr, media coverage of the obstruction probe was misguided and creating public misunderstanding of the office's work. So was it Barr or was it MSNBC, CNN, CBS, everybody else? So who's creating the misunderstanding?
So according to this article, Barr did not cause that much of confusion.
No.
The media did.
Yeah, he was concerned that the media coverage. So right there, in that call, Mueller said he was concerned that media coverage of the obstruction probe was misguided. Because they were all
the way Barr wrote it.
The way Barr said it, but it was clear cut. But everybody was like, well, that's not enough. But why is this here? Why did you say it does not vindicate the president then? Why didn't you just give me a solid conclusion? Right?
That's true.
Okay.
They did leave those questions open.
Right. So Mueller did not express similar concerns about the public's discussion of the investigations of the Russia elections interference because everybody was in agreement finally that Russia did get involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all understood that. Yeah.
Barr has testified previously that he did not know whether Mueller supported his conclusions on obstruction. So they didn't. Okay. When Barr pressed Mueller on whether he thought Barr's memo to Congress was inaccurate, Mueller said he did not.
So Barr asked Mueller, did I write inaccuracies? Did I lie?
Did I lie? Or did I misinterpret something? He said nope.
Mueller said no. You did
Mueller
not
said no.
misinterpret anything.
But felt that the media coverage of it was misinterpreted in the investigations, officials said. So who is at fault? Is it Attorney General Barr or is it the media?
Well, according to the conversation, Mueller's worried about the way the media is portraying this.
So why is Attorney General Barr being attacked the way he was attacked by the Judiciary Committee today?
Because they're being misled by the media, and the senators are believing what the media is saying.
This is where we are. What more does this man got to do? What more does Attorney General Barr got to do?
I don't know.
You can nitpick.
I mean, even in the House, in the Senate Judiciary Committee, they have the full report. They have the full report. So they can read it themselves and say if they really want to impeach him, they could just get the report and use paragraph so-and-so, evidence so-and-so, and evidence so-and-so, and we're going to go ahead and move on with the impeachment articles.
I love Senator Cruz because Senator Cruz detailed the timeline.
Okay.
On day one, right, you have released the report. I'm not going to go, it's day one, right? But day two, Mueller said that you should have released a 19-page report. You said no because you wanted to release the whole thing, correct? The whole thing. Mm-hmm. You want the whole thing analyzed and also, but you said no, by 19 pages can do it. You said no, we're going to wait till we release the whole thing. So everybody's mad because for 3 weeks you didn't release anything, including the 19 pages. But then in 3 weeks later, you released the 480-some pages or 430-some pages of this report, which include the 19 pages that Mueller's talking about. Mm-hmm. It's free, people. It's out there. Go to JusticeDepartment.com. The report's right there. Unless you want to buy the book on Amazon for $7.
Read it for yourself.
Read it for yourself.
Pretty much any of the Democrats in Congress really wanted to impeach him and really had evidence, it would be right there in front of their faces. And apparently it's not.
But like right here in MM Talk, we looked at where they said impeachment. Nothing said impeach President Trump. There's nothing.
It's just footnotes.
It's footnotes. I'm sorry that your 19-page summary did not tell you that Donald Trump is possibly an a-hole of a boss and wants to fire everybody because nobody's getting done. I'm sorry. That is not an impeachable offense. I said this last week. I'm saying it again. Being an a-hole of a boss does not make you guilty of a crime.
Nope.
Because I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure all of us had, at one time or one point in our lives, had a boss or supervisor or manager who was just a straight out jerk, a-hole, right? Mistreated you, just whatever, just straight out a-hole in some point of our lives. And just because they're a-holes doesn't mean you can fire them. It doesn't mean they committed a crime, right? So Mueller wants the context of the way Trump behaves, but it's in the report.
It's in the report. That's what I said.
It's in the report.
We said it, dude. If you read the report, you can feel the frustration just by reading the report.
Yeah.
You feel that he's angry. You feel, and it's like, but
and he's getting mad at people, lashing out. Well, yeah, who wouldn't, right? I would too.
Oh my God, the president yelled at me because I didn't do my job. Wow. You're being impeached. That's an impeachment process right there. We're set it. Okay?
Oh my God. That's terrible. That's the yeah, no.
It's like what more do we need, Jaime? Like what more do we need? We
Nothing
had
more,
480-page report.
This is getting annoying now.
I told everybody about in our previous episode about how MSNBC talked to people of the Democratic Party who said, "Can we move on from this?"
And there's polls saying that they just want to get it done. Nothing was found. Oh well, let's move on.
I'm just like,
So what we're saying here on MM Talk is that all the evidence they need to actually provide impeachment proceedings is there. If the Democrats are really serious about impeaching the president, they have the guts to do it. Get the evidence and move forward.
You have it.
The
it's
report's
in your hands.
there. 400-some pages. All the evidence is there. Everything. Even as Kamala Harris says, the underlying evidence is all out there in public.
Oh man,
Okay?
Kamala Harris
Our
needs
own
to.
senator. Okay, who's like, did you read the underlying? He said, well, we just got the principal findings of the report and we went with it. Well, if Miss Kamala Harris, a former prosecutor here in the United States, the Attorney General
of California.
Of California. Let me correct that. Not the United States, of California. I do apologize. Correction. And she is, the AG of California, the largest state, the most populous state, and then move forward with it, Miss Kamala Harris. Get the report and say this is the reasons, and we're gonna move impeachment. Be a leader like you want to be, Miss Presidential candidate, and say these are the points I recommend that the Democrats use as impeachable offenses, and we'll move forward with it. And until then, all you guys are doing is just making noise and noise and noise.
Yeah, I mean, there was
about something that you can't find, trying to nitpick something to be able to say that this government or this administration is obstructing justice.
And this Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii,
yes.
Right? You honestly, I don't know. Wow. Right? Because she went after Barr, like, trying to nail him to the coffin.
Pretty much call him a liar.
Call him a liar. It says, like, there's no difference between you.
You lied.
Yeah, there's no difference between you and Mayor Giuliani. You're all just Trump puppets and so forth. And I'm like, on the basis of what? The man gave you what Mueller said? No. The Washington Post, which is what all of you are going based off of, says it right there, digitally black and white, or if you printed black and white on paper, then Mueller said you didn't say anything wrong. It's the media's fault.
That the media's misinterpretation.
So why don't you call Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, Rachel Maddow, who's the other guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, call all those people, sit them in front of Congress, and tell them how they are misinterpreting the Mueller report.
Because supposedly the Senate Judiciary Committee is saying that Barr is misleading the American people and lying to the American people.
Mueller says it's the media.
But Mueller, in this article by the Washington Post, saying it's the media who is misinterpreting the facts of the case, and it's causing confusion and a distrust on the bureaucracy or on the FBI or on the investigators.
Even he was confused.
I was confused. Like, what's going on again?
It's like, I was like, Jaime, it's pretty simple. It's like, no, man, we need to filter it even further to where we try to explain it. And I'm like, I don't know how much more it can go, man. But
so just to summarize it, right? Barr goes to Congress. He is being questioned, right?
Right.
Because they want to know the truth. Because apparently, for the Democrats in the Senate and Congress, Barr is lying and misleading the public, right? That's the reason why Barr testified today, okay, or yesterday. Now he goes on there, and nothing in the Mueller report, contradicts what he said in his summary. It's just the way he worded it that caused confusion to some part. And not only was it confusing to some point, the media took it and caused even more confusion. Which Mueller, in a conversation with Barr, and you can read it yourself in the article, says the media is confusing the masses. It's confusing, it's causing chaos and confusion with the American people because they're making it more complicated than it is. What Mueller said is, Barr, you should just release the report with no summary and let Congress summarize their findings, which would be the same conclusion as Barr and Mueller. No obstruction, no collusion.
Because technically, Attorney General Barr did not even have to provide a summary.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do it. There's nothing that says that the Attorney General of the United States has to provide a summary on what the findings were. But everybody was like, we need to know. We need to go. The report's done. We need to know what's going on.
Well, mostly they were just unhappy that they didn't find, like Bill Maher said, Bill Maher beautifully said, he said, this was the big gun. Bill Maher said this was the big gun to take down Trump, and it comes out and nothing. Okay? And Bill Maher, okay, super moderate left, Trump bashing, conservative bashing, liberal, hardcore, he himself said, dude, this was supposed to be the smoking gun. The report comes out, there's nothing. So what are you guys are still fighting? And I quote Bill Maher, he said, you guys are harassing the president. You know?
At this point, it looks like
harassing. At this point, you know? You're stalking him. Sorry, the word is stalking the president.
But, I mean, the Mueller report is, at the end of the day, that firecracker that goes up and then the one that fizzles. Look, nothing. But this was our big gun. Now it just looks like you're stalking him. I think in the eyes of the people who don't follow it that closely, which is most of the country, here's the thing about Bob Mueller. He's like the last maybe the last thing in America that left and right agreed on. Left and right basically agreed. This is a guy of honor. This is an honest guy. This is an honest broker. Whatever he says goes. Americans are not into details. Don't read it to me, Bob. Just give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. The fact that he was like, I don't. If you couldn't impeach before, how are you going to impeach after?
So it's like, even if Bill Maher, the most leftist, not the most leftist, the most left-wing, moderate, all conservative, anything conservative bashing liberal, tells his own people, his own party, you guys
let it go.
Let it go. That means that they should let it go. The Democrats are just pissed off because they didn't get the results they wanted. And Bill Maher said it perfectly. And we have the link below for you yourself can see that interview between him and Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff, yeah.
Which is the chairman of the...
who hasn't resigned yet.
He hasn't resigned yet, but he's still the chairman. The
Intelligence, right? Intelligence?
Intelligence, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what we're saying here is that Democrats...
let it go.
Move on. If you really promote that you're the best party with the best ideas, with the best solutions for our country, go on that. Because apparently there's nothing in the Mueller report. All you're doing is just trying to pick at something that does not exist. There's nothing there. Your polls are showing that your own base is saying just move on with this already. Move on with this, right? Your own base is saying you're just giving Trump more ammo and more ammunition to win the next election cycle. You have professors who are saying, you know what? Nothing came out of it. Oh, well, move on. Let's go on with our lives. Let's focus on something else, right? So Democrats, presidential candidates, you're wasting people's times. People are already tired of it. 2 years have gone by of supposedly evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump is a Russian agent, and nothing to support your claim for 2 years. And now you still want to find something. You guys are just wasting America's time. You guys are wasting the American people's time.
Honestly, I wish it goes on. The reason why...
I'm just tired of it.
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. But hey, 2020 gets easier.
True. 2020 will get easier.
Because
it's going to give it to Trump again.
Imagine it's, let's scenario, it's Sanders and Trump. Well, you know, in the Mueller report... Really, Bernie? Really?
Complete exoneration. Complete exoneration.
Vindication.
Vindication of me, the president.
You wrote a book, right, Bernie? You read a book? Fantastic book, I assume. You should read my report. Hey, man, that's the line right there. Boom, done. Complete. But yeah, it's time to move on, folks. It's ridiculous. And what's her name? Hirono? What's her name?
The senator from Hawaii.
The senator from Hawaii. Lord have mercy. Not after today, because I mean, you would.
She was just that was the dumbest questions. And then Kamala Harris tried to, question hard. You know
when Kamala Harris goes after somebody, I've noticed this now. She's like, I'm asking a question.
It's like. What?
Like, did you review the evidence before you submitted?
Barr just recently became the Attorney General during the investigation. Yeah, he gave an opinion of what he thinks about the investigation. Yeah, but you guys confirmed him in the Senate.
Confirmed by the Senate. Mueller tells him he just said nothing wrong. So what are we arguing about here, people? What are we arguing about? Come on, man.
The fear here, the legal theory here is that they'll use anything to put people to impeach the president, which will set a precedent for any future president moving forward.
What is worse, Jaime, this or the Salem witch hunt? Because at this point, dude, I don't even know.
What's the difference?
What is the difference?
Man versus a woman?
I don't even know, dude. But this is ridiculous, man.
Let's move on. We're tired of talking about this. You're probably tired of hearing about the seat too. Let's talk about something more positive and more interesting.
More interesting, yeah.
We went to see
Larry Elder, the sage of South Central.
The
czar of common sense. The prince of Pico Union. That's how you know I watch that show a lot. I actually listen to the show. You can watch it too. But Larry Elder, right, well-known radio broadcaster, attorney, book writer, book author, excuse me. You've probably seen him a lot of times on Fox News. You won't see him on CNN anymore. And if you don't know why, just watch him. His interactions between him, Don Lemon, him, and Pierce when he was on there. I don't think he did anything with Cuomo, but anyways.
Now Cuomo isn't bad enough to.
Libertarian, conservative, of course, and it's just he's a really, really, really intelligent person. He's really, and I love the way
really
articulate, and I love the way he just presents you the issue, presents you the facts, and with a non-bashing way, bashes the left.
Well, he points out the inconsistencies.
Well, because he's a lawyer. So he breaks down the argument, right? He breaks down the argument of, well, this doesn't make any sense because if you actually look at this, boom, you look at this, that. So, but
he points out the inconsistencies. He points out the hypocrisies. He points out he points out how extreme, and how far off from the facts in reality the Democrats and lefts can become or be.
Just anybody. So
they are.
So
obviously he is a conservative man.
He's a conservative
libertarian,
man.
Like Eddie said. And the most interesting part is that he's a minority.
Yeah, he's an African American. If you didn't know that, if you didn't know that, he's an African American. So
if you look for Larry Elder and you're looking for a white man, you're gonna be surprised that he's not.
And you say, why were you guys excited to go and so forth? Because he's one of the influences. When I talked to Jaime, how we were gonna do this podcast, like who do we listen to get some ideas to make a direction where we want our program to go? He was one of them because. Jaime and I said, dude, there's enough left-wing bashing out there. Anybody can just say you're a moron. Anybody can just say you're an idiot. That's easy, but where's the facts? Where's the conversation?
That's right.
Where is the way we say, well, that doesn't make any sense because of this. That doesn't make any sense because of that. And in a professional manner, you say, I don't think you're right on that, and here's why. Boom, done. And that's what the Elder does. I mean, when he gets funny is when he articulates in such a professional way, and the reaction he gets from people, and then he reacts back. And that's when you start seeing the. It's like, why are you calling me a liar? Why are you calling me a liar? Look right here, 1981. He said it right there. Oh my God. Stuff like that. Unless you're Tom, which we found out yesterday, he fell asleep on his phone call.
Yeah, poor Tom. I mean, he's working all day. We don't know what his occupation is, but if he worked all day and be able to fall asleep, I mean. It's good. At least he has a job.
So we were at the Nixon Library, right, in Yorba Linda at the museum, and I mean, as soon as you walk in, you just see him right there on the stage, and I was like, there he is, right, and so we started listening to him, and I was like, see this, and then Jaime was like, okay.
Well, yeah, like when we proposed the idea many months ago, one of the things we avoid, and you notice here, and we avoid anything that just goes bashing like any conservative or other conservative outlets out there. We're not saying all of them are bad. No, we're saying that which are bad are good, but we're avoiding the whole meme type of meme or just bashing, making fun of, just calling out and just bashing without any substance.
With no context,
right?
Yes, with no context, yeah.
So like Eddie and I discussed and proposed is that we'll become more of a channel that we articulate our arguments, articulate the facts, and where that you can understand, and hopefully you can understand better, and also you can use the information to tell your colleagues, friends, and family about the real issues of the real facts, behind the hype, behind the sound bites that you hear in the media, right? Yeah. So that's why in MM Talk we refrain from a lot of things that go memes or things that just we try to post and inform you guys with facts and evidence, right? Not just a picture, although we do have pictures, but that gives you the misinformation or misleads you about certain topics, right? And like me and Eddie discussed before going live on this project, is that we will represent a more articulate, respectful manner where we can talk to people and be respected not only by those in the conservative movement or who are conservatives, but also be respected by those on the left and be able to discuss with them about their ideas and have that dialogue between both sides of the aisle, right? To find a solution, like we always say, a common sense solution to many of our problems. And many of the things that we believe in here in the country, transcend policies, transcend political ideologies that we both want. At the end of the day, we all want stable jobs. We all want be able to live in pursuit of happiness, good education for our children, for those who have it, be able to live freely without any hindrance to live out our life, and also in a society of law and order, right? Provide law and order for everyone can live with each other without becoming intrusive. Right? So like we proposed, the focus of Talk is to provide you with facts in as simpler and fun ways we can, and also to give you the information where you can regurgitate and tell your friends and family what is really going on in the middle of all the hype and media craze.
So that's what he does. That's what Larry Elder does. He'll take a video clip or a soundbite, and he'll be like, "What are you talking about?" And he'll point out articles from like the 1990s and compare those till today. There was an article where it talks the New York Times, right, was talking about how minimum wage actually does not help lower income families. Remember? And he didn't give out the source. He said, "Well, what do you think this is? This is the 1990s that minimum wage should not be empowered to low income families because it doesn't help them. It actually makes them worse. It impoverishes them more." And then I even said it to him, like, "Dude, that's the New York Times." And right, I guess I was like, "That's the New York Times."
It was a New York Times article,
and it was a New York Times article from the 1980s, late 1980s, and I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, look what's going on now." And then Paul Krugman, "Look what's going on now." Like, well, what's going on?
So what happened is that the New York Times article in the 80s said that why minimum wage is not a good idea, right? Why it hinders the working class Americans, especially for those with low skills. And now the same
New York Times is saying that minimum wage is good.
Yeah.
So what happened between the late 1980s and now is AOC. But
well, I mean, they don't call AOC, but what we're saying is that there's a change in
there's reasoning. There's a change in reasoning and all that.
Which most of it, it's not really solid evidence
but that's what I'm talking about. Look, he just presents you the facts and the way he just articulates it, and it's like, man, like, that is great. And it's just great because he's doing it in such a professional manner. Even when he's attacked, he's like, "Well, what is your evidence of that? Talk to me. Like, give me the actual evidence, and if you give it to me, I'll back down." Which is what I tell people now. Like, you give me the evidence, I'll back down, period. Close. But if you just come to me with blind attacks and all that, that's the things like we're trying to, like, no, dude, if you're just going to come with me like with that, no, get out, get out. I want to have the conversation, right? The conversation when I can say, well, tell me why you feel that way and what's your evidence to support that. And I tell you why I opposed it with my evidence. And then maybe we can get an understanding. Because that's what this world is missing. Understanding, common sense. All that. That's what's missing here and out there. But here in Talk, we're trying to bring it back. I don't know, in a civilized way. Yeah, we'll throw jokes here and there. But, it's the best way to do it. And that's... Larry Elder was one. And I said, when he told me we're going to go see Larry Elder, I was like, dude, let's go. Like is it today already? Like, I need to be there. Like, because someone like, he just sends me an email like, we're going to go see Larry Elder. Like, what? Like, I was like, whoa, what? So we went and then met the guy. Man, it was just, just being right there. It was just an experience, all of it. And
it's great.
I mean, we hope to go to his studio one day and I just talk about maybe some of the issues we talk about here in Talk and just be like, yeah, we agree with that. We're just talking about that in our show or something, Maybe we have that crossover, have a dialogue with him. Maybe have him on the show.
Larry Elder.
Shout out, Larry Elder. Join us here in Talk, but... Keep up the great work, sir. You're one of the best out there. I listen to you every day. I know your intro by heart by now. So yeah.
All right. Well, with this, we'll conclude this week's episode of Talk. Thank you for tuning in and joining us this week. If you have any comments, disagreements, or would you like to further we'll get clarity on any things we discussed, please leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, share our channel.
Yes.
Subscribe to our channels in Instagram and social media. And also, don't forget to spread the word of Talk and what we're doing here. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Jaime Moreno.
And I'm Eddie Marmolejo.
And remember,
we're tired of it too.
Jaime and I would like to thank you all for tuning into our podcast this week. If this is your first time tuning to Talk and you like the show, we invite you to come back every Thursday. Just hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you're notified where videos are up. Also, do not forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for any additional notifications. This is Talk, and remember, we're tired of it too.